Hello and welcome to another karting video. I thought I'd do something a bit different this time around, and now we get close to the halfway point of the 2021 season and I've got video from a few tracks I've been to more than once with reasonably similar conditions. I thought it'd be interesting to compare laps to see if I've actually made some progress. I've split the audio, so the 2021 clips are in the right channel and the 2020 are in the left, so you can actually hear what I'm doing, but probably best to listen with headphones. First up, we have a comparison between my fastest lap in the 2021 Sprint 60 race and my fastest lap in the 2020 Sprint race from Lid. Did sprints in 2020, so this was the best comparison I had. Now what we're going to do is, once we get close to the start of the two fastest laps, I'm going to switch into slow-mo and then walk through how I think I did over the two laps. So coming into the first chicane, you'll notice that the maximum speed coming out of the final corner's higher in the 2021 lap. Neither of them I really got far enough over to the right, but did make a much better exit out of the chicane in the 2021 lap. I also managed to shorten the distance a little bit heading into the second chicane by taking a bit of curb. So heading into the second of the two chicanes, you'll notice the maximum speed again slightly higher. Reasonable line through here in 2021. Take a decent amount of curb, open up the second part of it. Keep away from that other curb. As you hit that, it unsettles the kart and compromises your exit of it. And again, you can see the minimum speed in the 2021 lap is a little bit higher, which should translate into slightly higher maximum speed in this short straight onto the kind of long corner at the back end of the circuit. So actually this corner is quite similar in the two clips, but the minimum speed much higher in the 2021 lap, and I get a much better exit out of that corner. There's not much to do here other than just get on the throttle and then get ready for the following sequence of corners. Again, much higher maximum speed. The line through this corner is actually really sweet on the 2021 lap. It's quite difficult, there's no real reference point there, and you definitely don't want to hit that curb, so overall quite happy with that. Again, same as before, carrying much more speed in the 2021 lap than the 2020. From here, to be honest, it's quite similar, because it's basically pin the throttle and just get ready for the final couple of corners. Interestingly enough, it seems that perhaps the kart in 2020 had slightly more top speed than the 2021 kart. You'll notice the maximum speed down the back straight slightly higher, but by this point I've already pulled out a reasonable gap. So coming into the final two corners, again the line probably not too bad, but certainly on the exit I'm giving up a bit of space. I could be a bit wider and still be inside track limits. Coming up to cross the line, You can see there's a reasonably healthy difference between the two. And again, the exit speed out of the final corner is much higher in 21 against 20. We're now back to full speed footage for the rest of the clip. The other thing that's worth mentioning is my 21 laps are much more consistent than the 2020. I make a few mistakes here and there over the course of the 30-minute races, but nothing dramatic. You know, the odd slightly over enthusiastic braking point, or maybe the odd dodgy line, but you know, nothing as bad as completely locking or spinning or anything like that. And what I've also done is I took the average lap time from my fastest SP60 race, and also averaged out all of the laps from the sprints, and came up with a number to compare between 2021 and 2020. I realised as a metric it's slightly flawed, because I also had to remove 3 of the 4 first laps from the sprint number, otherwise it would have been massively skewed in favour of the SP60, as the first lap tends to be slow because you're kind of bunched up a bit. But nevertheless, the good thing is there's a definite improvement from 2020 to 2021. So now we're moving on to Buckmore Park. This is the track that I've driven at most in Club 100, and I've also had detailed driver coaching from Nicky Richardson, so I'd definitely expect my 2021 laps to be quicker. I'd be very disappointed if they weren't. Same drill as with the lid footage. The 2 laps I've queued up are the fastest between the 2 races. Both of these are sprint 60. I did do sprint 60 at Buckmore last year, so it's a much more direct comparison. So we're about to hit the slow-mo section as we exit Garda, and as we go through Senna, you can already see my exit from Garda was much better in 21 than it was in 20, and this is critical because we're now full throttle from here all the way up the hill into T1, and obviously any time you lose going up the hill is just going to be amplified, because the more speed you carry, it's just going to make a huge difference all the way up the hill and then into turn 1. So, crossing the line, and we're about to head into turn 1 and turn 2, which really is kind of one corner, despite there being 2. The interesting thing is, I probably have a better run through T1 and T2 in the 2020 lap, but the big difference we'll see is when we get into hairpin 1 and hairpin 2. And in fact, the minimum speed in the 2021 lap appears to be quite a lot slower than the 2020. So, heading into hairpin 1, in 2020 I appear to be wandering a bit over the track, whereas 21 I stay out wide and then commit into the corner, almost make the apex. But on the 21 lap I'm much wider coming out of the hairpin, carrying more speed heading towards hairpin 2. And it's hairpin 2 we're going to see a huge difference between the 2 laps, although you can already see I've opened up a reasonable gap over 2020 me as we come into hairpin 2. And again, the lines here aren't too different. Maybe I take a bit more curb in 21, but my exit again is better, and I'm on the gas. Well, in fact, I'm on the gas before I even get to the apex in 21, and you can see the gap that I've opened up. It's quite dramatic. From here all the way down the hill to paddock, again it's absolutely flat out, so any advantage I can get coming out of that hairpin 2 is going to be amplified. So coming down the hill, we're about to go into the sweep. Definitely the most exciting part of the Buckmore Park track. It's actually quite steeply downhill, more steeply than the camera shows. The 20 lap, I probably actually make a better job of this sequence of corners, but because I've already made up that huge amount of time through hairpin 1 and hairpin 2, the overall lap time is quicker. So although my entry into paddock was probably better in 2020, I didn't really get to the apex. I do in 21, and now we're heading towards Garda, which, as I said, is kind of a critical corner for going up the hill. I actually make a bit of a half-hearted effort to try and get past this guy, and he turns in on me, which really compromises Garda for me. You can see I kind of lock up a bit and go wide. So with that in mind, this lap could easily have been significantly quicker without that small mistake. And again, I make a much better job of getting through centre and then heading up the hill. And although the 2020 car has definitely closed on me because of that better exit, the overall lap time is much better, over a second faster. I then get incredibly wide. I must admit, I think I might have got a track limit warning for that, I'm not entirely sure. But we're now going to return to normal speed shortly. So back to normal speed. 2020 me is going to pull off a lovely switchback move on this guy in front of me. I didn't leave that in just to show off that I actually managed to overtake someone. But as I said with the lead footage, not only am I faster, but my laps are much more consistent. You know, in general, I'm closer to my ultimate lap time more of the time. Even when, for example, in this case, I'm dealing with the faster traffic. And again, I managed to use in 2021 the faster carts to get a move done on the guy that was in front of me previously. So, you know, it's good to see that on average my laps are improving, they're more consistent, even when I'm dealing with, for example, having to let faster traffic through. It's good to see. But I also know there's a lot more work to be done, particularly through the slow corners. Even though I've made an improvement through the hairpins, there's more to be done. I think I'm letting off the throttle too much into those corners. I think probably need to overlap, brake and throttle a bit more, and just get on the power earlier, because when the really fast guys come past me through the hairpins, I can see them just disappearing off into the distance through one corner. So absolutely no, there's more work to be done. The comparison between my fastest Sprint 60 race in 2020 versus my fastest Sprint 60 race in 21 is obviously much more valid, and the difference between the two is more marked than it was at Lid. So overall, happy that I've made progress. Nice to see that I am going faster, but I know I've got so much more to do, but I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully the next race I'll see more improvements. Thanks for watching. You know, if you've got any useful, constructive comments or feedback, I'm always interested to hear them. I know that I'm only just over a year into this, so I've got so much more to learn.